Hello, hello, hello. So welcome again. Hi, Claudia. Welcome again to another live of our beautiful Love Speaks, and with Beverly, Claudia, and myself. And hello, ladies. How are we today?
Good.
Yes,
Good.
Thank you very much.
Good, good.
Excited to be doing this again. I love it.
Yeah, it's lovely to have these conversations openly, I feel, and to be able to, just get others on board as well and have a chat. Okay, well, today's topic that we're looking at and chatting about is the energy of thought. We're vibrational frequency. And of course, I know a lot of you know this, and it's the that thought, word, action, everything has a vibration and energy that's sent out, and our thoughts are very powerful, as you know, I'm sure you know, with prayer. So there's a lot of I've seen a lot of damage with thought over the years, seeing how energetically it does impact somebody and affect and infect, in fact. It gets in. You remember the old Colgate's ad? I don't know if you girls had it in Australia. A Colgate's toothpaste, they used to dip a chalk into that. Yeah. Oh, it does get in. It's what this is like, the thoughts.
Well,
So
your cells are always listening.
Mm.
Your cells in your body are just listening to every thought that you ever have. And they can't make up the difference between whether you're thinking about yourself or somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's always about you.
Yeah, it is. So I'm just going to change my background because I realized I still haven't even got that sorted. Excuse this day today. I'm in a bit of a dream space, in a sense, I feel. Energetically, there's been some big shifts, and I, for one, have been going through them, which has been a great thing. But I am going to do a live after this at some time about what's happening energetically and how it's impacting at the moment, because I am seeing it everywhere and it's beautiful. So yes, thoughts. Oh my goodness. I remember a long time ago, spirit taking me into the realm of thought. So the mind field of the planet. I honestly, it was like, get me out of here. I thought I was just going mental. Just absolutely mental. Like, it is definitely mind. Was definitely in the mind. And it was huge. The impact that thoughts and feelings that have come through on thoughts, because behind a thought is usually emotion, and depending on, if somebody's got the hates on and they're sending you real, energy, you're going to feel that energy impacting, and it will actually change your mood. It'll change the mental thoughts that you're having. It'll impact into your thought system and your energy and emotional program. So, they're powerful. They're really powerful, and it's really important. And particularly, I feel really at this point in our journey here on the planet, and this huge evolutionary shift that we're shifting through, it's really, really important to pay attention to your thoughts and to the feelings behind the thoughts. And where are they actually coming from? Because there's so much interference now on all levels of our bodies, our body layers and levels, and it's impacting us in a huge way. A lot of this negative narrative that's going on, and we have this this little debate going on, I suppose it is. I don't know, battle, I suppose, in many people's view, for this little baby Will, 4-month-old Will, who's needing a blood transfusion, and his parents don't want to have vaccinated blood in his body. So there's this stand that they're taking, and the world is behind them. I tell you, there's so many people now, thousands and billions of people that have come in behind this and supporting them in this decision. And it's going to the courts, high courts today, for maybe the guardianship of his parents be taken away from them and given to the courts and the hospital to be able to do the operation that they medics believe. And it is right that he does need this operation, but he doesn't need that blood. They have 30 plus people now that have scanned blood ready to go, that's clean blood, and they are waiting in the wings to find out whether they can go ahead with this or not. But my point here is, this is a huge, huge, huge thing. You know, if this goes ahead, we're going to be cheering from the rooftops, like, honestly, and the heavens will be cheering with us. And it's really important that our energy that we put towards this is positive, that it's seeing the outcome we want to see, not the thoughts of what everyone's saying, you know, on the negative side of it, or even in the proof and the facts that have come through about the bloods now and all of that stuff. It's about staying in the positive, seeing the positive outcome and the highest good for all, and having those clear thoughts that that it's already done. He's already healed well and clean blood.
Mandy, I haven't heard this story. And the first question that comes to mind is, if there are people who haven't been vaccinated willing to give him blood, why isn't it going ahead? Why aren't they just doing it?
Because they can say no.
Who can say no?
Well, the health, the medics, the health department, like the blood screening, have said they'll do it, but they're also not doing it because the hospitals or the health regulations, whoever's that is, says that they can't and they're not going to.
So the parents are willing to give the child the unvaccinated blood.
Yeah.
And the unvaccinated people donating the blood are willing to give the child the blood.
Family and friends. Yeah.
So the only thing stopping it is this bureaucracy.
Yep.
Saying that he should just have the blood that's mixed, like everybody's mixed in together, vaccinated, unvaccinated, it doesn't matter. But
and it hasn't got
blood that's not vaccinated is not allowed.
Yeah. And that this blood that they have that's vaccinated from everyone,
yes,
is not harmful.
Right.
Won't be harmful.
This is huge. This is a massive.
Oh yeah, no, it's worldwide.
This is huge. Yep. This is a massive step for sovereignty, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And it is, I don't know how they can, how they'll be able to say no to this, the courts, and just because if the jury and the judges go into looking at the information, there's so much proof, they're going to have to actually not look at the information to go with the courts, you know, with the health industry and say no. And as Liz Gunn, I think, said, that would be perjury because it's false information. They're going off false information.
So really, when you think about this, it's not about the child's life, because if it was about the child's life, this hoo-ha that is being created would be put to the side and the parents' wishes would just be followed, and the kid would be given, the child would be given the blood from all the family and friends.
This is about control.
And then that would be it.
Yep.
So it's obviously not about that, according to the health body that is stopping that from happening. What it's about is pushing this blood that they have, that they've created, that they've got in store. And so because they don't want people to have a choice, they just want their blood used, full stop. They don't want people to have a choice.
No, it's about control.
Yes.
Totally.
Well, there's
It's so clear. I mean, I've only just heard about it. We're having this conversation. I didn't know. Within less than 5 minutes of talking about it, I can see that it's not about this child's life.
no.
What I really love about his name is Will. The baby's name is Will. And it's like about the will of the people. And as we really start to focus in on that part, things start to change and to lift and to move. Yesterday I was in meditation, and I went to the judges and the doctors, and I just saw them being able to go with their hearts rather than the narrative that's in their ears, really.
Yeah.
So it's I think if we could manage to focus on that part of it,
Definitely.
yeah, it would be way better than focusing on the story of it. It's like, let's see what is the highest good that can be created from this.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the part they don't want happening. That's why they're going to say no if they do. It's because they want more sterility as well. So, you know, if they're not killing the kids, they're going to sterilize them. So it's you know, it's pretty sick. It's pretty sick. And it's it is definitely evil, you know, and if you spell the word evil and then you reverse that, it's live. You know, so it's either living or it's about the evil. And you know, we're seeing that today, and we have been seeing it for the last 3 years in a massive way. I mean, it's always been there. And it's been an interesting thing in that, you know, I think it's for me personally anyway, I've come to a point now where I'm seeing that the people who've never got me all my life are now getting me. Those who are waking up, they're starting to see that, hang on a minute, this is something that Mandy's been sort of bringing in all her life. All my life, I've been working for freedom, and I've been seeing this whole system that we've been living in and trying not to play in it as big as I can, because I don't want to be tied into that. So I've been trying to work my way through it in a way that, because you have to, you know, it's our dome, we're in the dome. You know, there's no way getting out of it, really. We still have to do certain things that are tied into it. But I wanted to do the least that I could involved in that stuff, and live the life of my soul and my light, and follow that trip and create something better. You know, it's not enslaving, and it's about helping to empower. So, you know, other people into their own empowerment, self-empowerment. And this is what they, again, don't want us to do. So, you know, I've known in the sense of spirit, and I've said it before, I felt hunted, you know, and it was dark force that was hunting. And that there, again, broken away from that, because I have the power. I'm not handing that over to anybody anymore. So, you know, so it's interesting watching people's views of even my lifestyle, that I never chased money. I've never been one to, you know, I don't own a home. I have owned a home, but it was never my angst. I need to own a home, and, you know, all of that, because I've moved so often, because that's where my soul was telling me to go. It was like, this is where you need to be next. This is where you need to be next. So I've just done that throughout my life. And I know people never understood that, you know. Oh, why are you doing it like that? Why can't you do it like we all do it? Well, it's never been interesting for me to do it that way. So I see people now saying, sort of sitting back going, well, it doesn't matter how many homes I own. If this all goes ahead, they're all going to be taken off me anyway. You know, they're starting to wake up that they're actually not going to have anything. So yeah, it's huge. There's so much going on out there that's tipping points now, you know, they're tipping points, and this is a tipping point. Well, is a tipping point.
Yeah. I love how our lives have run so parallel, Mandy, even though we've lived in different countries. I remember it would have been 30 odd years ago, this guy said to me, goes, but you just live outside the system. You know, and I have
what a compliment. What a compliment.
I've always somehow lived outside the system without being aware of that. I wasn't really aware of that. That's what I was doing. Yeah.
That was your
Yes.
subconscious looking after you.
It was totally looking after me. Oh, look, I have been so looked after in my journey that it's hard to even imagine. When I start putting it all together, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Incredible.
Yeah. One of the things that, we're talking about our thoughts and what we create. I remember when I first started on my journey, I used to drive a school bus out in Newdigate, which is like a little wheat belt town. And I had between 30 and 40 minutes before I picked up the first child. And in that time, I used to watch my thoughts. So I'd be thinking about something and suddenly it was somewhere over there.
Yeah.
Going, oh, come back here. And I think the beauty of being out there where there wasn't that many other people, so that my thoughts weren't impacted by everybody else and everything else.
Yeah.
We didn't have mobile phones back then. And so this, it trained me to be really aware of my thoughts. And I just used to go, "Hoi, that's not what you want to be thinking about," and just bring them back in.
Yeah.
And I was just going to say, and I think the other thing is we think that our mind has control over us, but we actually have control over our own minds, and it's up to us to be the one that self-regulates that.
Absolutely. And you see how quickly something works, and I know AI is a thing, we might mention, screen blinds, screen doors for the doors, and next minute on your Facebook ads are all about screen doors, and, you see it on everywhere that you're seeing it. And it'll pop up, but mostly when we have a thought that's gone out, and sometimes you say, "Oh, I wish, blah blah blah," next minute it's right there, and I'm sure it is. It's so fun. I love it. I love the magic in it. That's the thing that really excites me, when you get to see it happening and then you start using it to your best ability. It's so cool. And I think every single person has been able to see that they've said something or thought something, and next minute it's showing up. It might take a day, even a week, for some, or longer, but it'll still turn up. And that was from that thought.
Yeah.
I remember it's happening quicker now. Have you noticed it's happening quicker?
Very fast.
Yeah.
I do remember having this. It's like, it just sticks with me. I was trying to sell my car, and I'd rung up to see how much I'd get as a trade-in, and was like, that's not enough. So what happened is my daughter had just got her license. She borrowed the car. Well, she tipped it over on a gravel road and broke every window, every glass, dented every panel on the car, and the insurance company paid us out the full amount. By the way, she came out with a scratch on her little finger.
Oh, wow.
So she wasn't hurt at all, which was like a real blessing. But I wanted this amount for my car, and they were only wanting to give me this amount for my car, but the insurance paid out what I wanted. So it was like and I think it took a week, but that was like, she's in her 40s now and she was 17 then, so it's a while back.
Yeah.
But it's when we put out a thought, we don't always know how it's going to come back at us.
No.
Have you got some messages there, Mandy?
I have. Sorry, yes, I was just reading. Lottie said, "I've always burnt my voting papers." And then
I like that idea.
And then said, "I'm so pleased I'm listening to you ladies, as we were told to quickly get inside as the Armed Defenders Squad, 25 cops in a helicopter above." So what is that for, Lottie?
Oh.
Yeah, so it's
Wow. What are they doing?
I don't know what they're doing. Do
Okay.
you have any information on that, Lottie? If you can, just drop it in there. That'd be great. We're all
Yeah.
interested to know now. But yeah, I mean, so many times I've had, just putting those prayers out. Prayers are the same thing. They're an energy that goes out into this universe and comes back to us, of course. And so many times I've had those prayers answered in ways that I could never have thought possible to have them answered, So if we stay out of the how to, how's it going to turn up? Where's it going to come from? Blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And just leave it floating out there. It'll always come back in the best way possible. And I've had so many miraculous things happen from just joking, really, too, like the velvet thing, saying, oh yeah, let's manifest a truck of coming down the drive with brand new rolls of velvet on it, because a girlfriend wanted to sew, and I used to sell tie-dye gear at markets and sew velvet things and all that for years, and it was a big thing. But anyway, and I didn't have any velvet. She was wanting to use my machines, and I said, oh well, let's create, and we were just being stupid, really, going down the stairs and theatrics, and oh yes, let's see a truck coming down the drive, and away we went. And later that afternoon, no truck arrived, but when I went up to the post box at the top of the driveway, it was a rural, so there was a milk box and a post box. And I was getting closer to these, and I was thinking, what the heck is that in those things? Well, here was all these velvet garments shoved tightly into these box. Every area of those boxes was just all these velvet garments, and I was nervously giggling, pulling them all out, putting them over my arm, and there was like a stack about that high of all these clothes. And I thought, this is bloody crazy. This is just so crazy. So we didn't get brand new rolls of velvet, but we definitely got a stack of velvet clothing. Nobody to this day has ever said, Mandy, did you ever get the velvet clothing? And why would they? Why would somebody be putting them in my letterbox? But there was an angel. Some angel went and put them in there for spirit.
Yeah.
Said you need to go and put them in that box there. The person, whoever it was, I'm presuming, unless they just, of course, manifested into that space. It was funny. So many things like that. I've got a book. Honestly, there's just so many
miracles.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's important to, when you are manifesting, that you're manifesting from the true self, because I remember manifesting things when I was young, of things that I thought I wanted, and then I got those things and they were really bad for me. And I learned a lesson.
Yes.
Manifesting them.
Yes.
But, I didn't know that they would be bad for me at the time, because I was young and naive, and, I was in love, or I thought I was in love, or whatever. And,
Yes,
and
we do.
yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, I really want to go on a date with that guy or whatever. And that guy would turn out to be the worst possible guy to go out with, or whatever. And
bad boy.
Yeah. And it happened so many times. Like I remember one time I even went out, like I was determined to go out on a date with this guy, and I was going to his school formal, and I'd never been to a formal before. I even went out and bought a dress and everything. Like I was so prepared to go on this date with this guy. And he finally asked me to go on the date. And it was on a cruise ship around the harbour. It was beautiful. But the guy was horrible. We went, and the thing was, we were on this boat, so I couldn't leave. I couldn't, like, after I discovered that it was such a mistake, I couldn't leave the boat because I would end up in the water. When we finally got back to shore, he wanted to continue the evening with his friends and take me to another party, but he had been drinking on the boat, which was part of the problem. And there was no way I was getting in a car with this guy. There was absolutely no way. I mean, I may have been young and naive, but I wasn't stupid. And so he left me there at Circular Quay, and I rang my dad up. It was like, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning or something. And I was like, Dad, you were right. It turned out to be a disaster. Can you come and get me? And of course he came to get me, and he was like, I'm so proud of you for ringing me and admitting that it wasn't the right thing, that it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. Because he was telling me the whole time, he was like, this is not the right boy for you. It's not right for you. And I was like, I didn't care. I just wanted to go on the date and go, you know, in a beautiful dress on a ferry around the harbour. I just wanted that experience. And I was like, you were right, Dad. It wasn't right for me.
Sometimes I remember a friend saying to me, you know, why is it that you just don't listen to advice on things that you know, like, you know, you might be told the same thing, don't go there, it's not going to be good for you, you know, all those sorts of things. But yet I always had to do what I knew was right for me.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I said to him. I said, it's not that I'm not listening to what's being said. I go with what's going on in here.
Yeah.
And if that feels that I need to or have to, or this feels right for me to do this, and whether it's what's termed to be a negative thing and you know, it all turns to caca, you learn there's so much gold in it. There's gold nuggets everywhere. So I always learned. I mean, even if it's don't do that again, it might be something better than that too, you know?
Yeah, because it wasn't about the pride for me. Like, admitting that I was wrong was easy. That was the easy part. Being disappointed that my expectation of this beautiful evening with this boy was the hard part. You know, it was that I wanted to have a good time and I wanted to, you know, have this beautiful romantic night. And that was the hard part for me. It was like I was so far from that expectation.
We're so fed that about romance.
Yes.
You know, it's everywhere. So, you know, 16-year-old girl, whatever age you were.
Yeah, I was about 16.
That's the fantasy that we're into.
Yeah.
As you know, it's like those thoughts and that energy that's put out by the media, by Hollywood, by whatever the ads that we see create us to follow those thoughts.
We get
I was in love with love at the time, you know, like I was in love with the idea of being in love.
I'm just going to say we're in love with the idea of love.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So Lottie's come back with the police wouldn't say they just rushed us inside to our homes. I said, WTF, someone is armed and dangerous out there. And interesting, the birds have stopped chirping and gone to safety as well.
Hey.
So there must be, something going on. There might be an armed person out there running around somewhere or whatever.
Yes, well, there's a lot of that going on at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. Like, from what I've been seeing, there's a lot of people ramming shops and doing all sorts of weird things that, you know, we never really heard about before.
No, it's, you know, cost
just like, chill.
Yeah, cost of living so high, people can't keep up. You know, the beneficiaries, people like that, they can't live on that. They couldn't before, but now it's even worse. So they're going to ram raid and do stuff. They're going to find a way to try and survive.
Yeah,
I
agree.
So it's another way of saying, you know, sort of listen to us, the people, because the government's not listening, and we know this. I mean, it's not something we all don't know, but there again is the point. And, you know, when we look at this going on in the world, it's, you know, if you haven't got a bigger picture, then find the bigger picture, get the bigger picture, because it's in that you're going to understand why this is happening. And then for me, it's about keeping your vision clear, and clean of all that stuff that's going on and hold a vision for yourself of what you really want in your world, because it's crucial that we do that now. Right now, it's time to bring your most positive thoughts, put the most beautiful feelings behind them, and create a world that is really what you want to live in. And don't pay attention to the other narratives going on out there. Just hold that vision for yourself. And like everything that we're seeing very quickly shifting now, you know, it'll shift very quickly.
I found it interesting when you read Lottie's message about the helicopter. I felt this little twinge of fear in me rather than, you know, feel more expansive. I just felt it go dunk inside me, and I had to actually consciously go, actually, no, you have no clue what's going on. Just hold yourself open and stop your thoughts running away with you.
That's it, because that's what we tend to do, is we tend to go into the story again in our mind and then run our own narrative with that and assumptions on what it might be all about and create a whole new story. And you know, all of those thoughts are impacting the actual, okay, so that thing's happening, then we all come in with our thoughts on it, which makes it even bigger and gives it more power to be there. You know,
and
that's the power of thought.
That happens to me quite a bit too, what you were describing, Bev, like that feeling of, you know, that fear grip. And then the mind starts to try and make sense of it. And the reason I know I feel it, the reason my mind is doing that is to keep me safe. It's like, do I need to run? Do I need to get to another place? Do I need to shelter? Do I need, you know, what does this mean for me and my family, and how's it going to affect our health and life? That's what it boils down to. That fear gripping me comes from experiencing trauma in the past that feels the same as that trauma. This is what worked last time, maybe you should do that again this time, run, or, you know, whatever it is. And what I've started to learn to do now, because of COVID, because of the last few years, because of all the inputting, the trauma of watching what I did, you know, the things that I saw on the internet, bloody, bloody, blah, all of it, the things you hear, you know, your friends talking about, the things that you see on TV, all of that stuff created that feeling of fear. And so I didn't want to live in fear. I was thinking, this is overwhelming. This is a lot. And, you know, and it was all happening at the same time that I was waking up to the truth of the world and things that were, you know, behind the scenes. And so I was like, okay, now I have to reparent myself, basically. And I started to listen to that voice that you were talking about, that's saying, don't just buy into the story. Don't just listen to the fear. You need to listen to your higher voice. You need to take a deep breath, slow down your thinking, slow down your body, you know, that fight, flight, or freeze response that you get, and really just think about what's going on and listen to yourself. Listen to your intuition. Listen. Don't just listen to what's coming in, the fear that's coming in. You need to listen to, tune into something higher than that.
Yes.
And because that was hard. That's so hard when you are being bombarded with all of this stuff. It's really, really hard to slow yourself down and listen to that higher voice that's coming in. And you're
because we've got so constricted in our thought patterns, well, mostly with humanity, into fixating on what works for me. What's the best for me, instead of being able to look at a bigger view.
Yes.
You know, it's like being able to rise above the chatter.
Yes.
And actually see it from a different perspective.
It's our human nature to think, how am I going to protect myself? How am I going to protect my family from this perceived threat?
See, that's the thing for me. As soon as something like that said, I instantly go into, you know, battle up. I'm instantly in this defensive where I'm ready to on guard, you know, and then I sort of adjust and I go, oh, okay, no, calm down. It's all good. But that's my first thing, honestly. Give me a fright and I'll turn around and punch you probably, because it's just what I do. And I've told my family, don't sneak up on me, because you know, Liam did the other day, came in and I didn't hear him, and I'm standing, I had a knife, I was doing something at the kitchen sink, and he was just there right at the stove sort of thing on my right, and he moved and I heard him, and instantly I was the knife was in my hand, I turned around and he sort of looked at me like, and I, you know, I'm never just jumping in, thank goodness, but I do assess it, but it's the first reaction for me.
Right.
So,
go into defense mode.
yeah, I do. It's not so much fear, it's run at it. I don't run away, I run into it. Yeah.
Yep.
It's one of them. Yeah, no, true.
It's that defender. It's the defender that comes out.
Totally.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we you know, just to be, I mean, to find out about yourself is really important. To find out how your mind works is really important. You know, and how energy does affect and infect people when we're, you know, when somebody's, you know, cigarette smoker, say, and somebody's looking at them and judging them and saying, oh, you know, you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes. They mightn't say it out loud, but they're thinking that energy is heading to that person, you know. And this is one of the big reasons why I became more private in my life around stuff than ever before, is because I don't want to put something up on, say, Facebook, you know, oh, this has happened. And then for months, people are still reading that thread and coming back into that post and still liking it or you know, crying over it, or whatever the response might be, but holding you in that energy. And you've already maybe moved on, but it could be still dragging you back into it, you know. So, and I remember reading a book around quite a sort of high profile medium in New Zealand here. And she had a very tough childhood, you know, very sad sort of childhood as a kid. And I remember reading her book and thinking, oh my gosh, you know, and it really touched me deeply. And she was on my mind for days. And I kept thinking, stop it, leave it there, leave it in the book. Don't bring it back into life again, you know, for her. But yeah, that's what we do. We tend to just, you know, still hold people in that space that you knew them to be 10 years ago even. You know, our thoughts might still create the same narrative and story around them, and they've moved on 10 years from there, you know. So it's, and I'll say to people, don't worry about other people, leave them alone. All that energy and worry goes into those people, and it's creating them to be in that depression still, or that, you know, whatever it might be.
So they're enabling it. They're
enabling it totally. It's just empowering them to be there more.
Yeah.
You know, and deeper.
I think I did put a post up about that the other day, about disentangling myself from everybody else's energy.
Oh yeah, I read that. I loved that. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I've noticed was that when I came back here, I haven't lived in Albany for 20 odd years, and I found that my family still hold me back there. It's like they haven't upgraded their thoughts about me, but I actually haven't upgraded my thoughts about them either.
Right.
Families tend to do that to each other, don't they?
Yeah, we remember each other as children or young adults when we had a lot to do with each other, and then we don't have a lot to do, but we forget that we've all grown in that time.
Yeah. And see the best in everyone, as best you can. You know, I know people might cross us and do harmful things to us and things like that, and I know it takes processing to get through that and move out of that energy as well. But once you have, you know, allow those other people to move on too. And I see you know, when we cut ties with people, or, you know, energetically go in and do the work and releasing, you know, often those people get into contact with us.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
haven't heard from them for months and months. You do some bit of energy work on cutting some cords and things, and next minute they're phoning or texting or whatever it might be. And you think,
because they felt
they
this.
felt that.
They felt
Yes.
it.
Feel it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's impactful for sure, our thoughts. And particularly towards people. But I mean, usually it's about people that we're thinking. You know, even situations that might be happening, people are the ones that have brought it about, you know. So there's always somebody involved.
Usually when we have judgmental thoughts about someone, it is born out of something that's missing in ourselves or something that we don't like about ourselves. It's a projection.
Yeah.
And when because our bodies and our cells don't understand the difference between the thoughts that we're having about ourselves or the thoughts that we're having about somebody else. And so when we are projecting, it originates from our own subconscious mind. It's the judgments that we're having about ourselves that we're seeing in the mirror in somebody else. And so our bodies are processing it as though we're saying those things about ourselves.
Yep.
The way we can stop that is when we do, because we all have those judgmental thoughts. It just happens. It's the way we're raised. It's this society that we live in. That we can catch it and we can say, okay, I'm having a judgment now. I can feel I'm judging that person. And asking ourselves, where in myself am I seeing that you know, whatever it is, that judgment that I'm making, where am I seeing it in myself? And giving yourself the opportunity to work through it and see yourself in that moment. And when we do that, that's when we can heal that part of ourselves, when we're aware of it. And our cells, our bodies and our DNA and our cells can respond in kind. And that is taking responsibility for our thoughts and how they're affecting us. And I think that when we understand that process and how it works and that we are the ones that are in control of it, it gives us so much power back to ourselves. It's self-love to be able to do that. Just the awareness of it. Just, oh, I'm judging that person. Okay, now where is it in me that I'm lacking?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's easy to say, hard to do. It was so hard to do.
It takes practice.
Yeah.
It's like a muscle that we've not used. And it's like, just keep on using it and it gets easier. I know I catch myself in judgment quite regularly and I have to go, oh, and just bring that back to me rather than keep on going, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not judging.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's really, it's the more you do it, the quicker you can release that as well.
Yeah.
But it does take practice.
Yeah.
Like I was saying at the beginning about my thoughts running away with me and grabbing them back. It took me practice. It probably took a year. Every day on that school bus off I would go, chook, back here, chook. But it was a muscle that I learnt to strengthen.
Yeah. And that was me with the thought processing, you know, like actually paying attention to what my mind was saying, even when I wasn't speaking, you know, and I'm just in silence. That was chattering. Well, what's it saying? You know, and it just chatters away all the time. When I realized how it was narrating everything that was happening, even, you know, that tree there's blowing like that, you know, it's like all of it. It's just chatter. Yeah.
So
when
true.
I actually listened, when I actually listened to what I was saying, I realized I was saying a lot of things about myself that were just horrible. You know, and I thought, if I had a friend that was speaking to me like that, I'd be booting her out the door. So, you know, why am I saying that to myself? And why am I allowing myself to say these things to myself? And I was saying it without even thinking about what I was saying.
Yeah,
you know, just running.
Was it coming from you though? Like, this is the question. Are those thoughts coming from you, or are they being fed into your brain? Like, where
this
is that
is-
stuff coming from?
Exactly. And this is why it's important to look at all of that, like I was saying earlier.
Mm,
Follow the thoughts and see where they're coming from. And what you'll notice is that they're being either projected in some way, not just say from a person. I like now we've got all the AI stuff going on as well, you know. So there's a lot that we are being bombarded with all the time.
mm.
Even reading a sign, you know, something that's advertising something, you'll run that through your mind, and we might not even realize, yes, we've read it, but we're just scanning over it as we're driving past even, but we're taking that in.
Yes.
We're noticing it, we're reading it, and that's another thought process that's going on, even though we're not paying attention to that.
Yeah, in movies too. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
They put stuff in movies in the background of scenes.
Yes.
Like, it's all planned. There are layers and layers and layers of communication that we're seeing. And we can take in the information because we're seeing it. We might not know that we're seeing it, but our subconscious knows.
Yes.
Our brain picks it up, but our consciousness doesn't necessarily pick it up because we're watching the story. We're seeing the story. We're not necessarily seeing what's happening in the background.
Yeah. I noticed. Sorry, Bev.
I was just going to say that we're so much more bombarded by advertising now than we have ever been.
Yeah.
You know, I think about my childhood on the farm. I think we had a radio. Listen to the ABC.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't have ads. There was no nothing that influenced us except going to school or our parents. But now we're influenced, or the children are influenced by every single part of society. It must be. It's a much more difficult place to get out of that that mind control, pretty much.
Yeah, it is. I know how many times over the last 3 years, particularly in those first 2 years, how many times I heard in my mind, go and get the, and I thought, that's certainly not coming from me.
Yeah.
You know, and I do know that there was a couple of times I questioned it. I was thinking, is that me? Is that something I actually need to do? Like, you know, before I realized what it was deeply about, but there was this knowing that it wasn't for me anyway. And back, what is that?
Interesting.
Wow.
Very interesting.
We had a little glitch.
So yes, so many like somebody else's microphone, eh?
That
and I realized it wasn't my thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, that was an interesting thing, and I actually mentioned it to a few people, and they all said they'd had the same thing happen. So there was some of that programming going on as well, which we sort of thought, but that proved it to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, definitely. That proves it. Like, because I had similar things where I was like questioning, and I would, because I was so sure from the deepest recesses of my being that it wasn't for me, and I was questioning it. And I was thinking, okay, so why am I questioning this? Like, where is that coming from? And that was a huge wake-up call for me, because that's not my personality. You know, once I know something to be true for me, I don't waver. And when I was wavering, I was like, wow, that's interesting. Like, I don't usually waver. Once I feel something deeply, I stick to it. And so that was what you're describing, Mandy, happened to me. And that was a huge wake-up call for me, massive one. Now all the bells and whistles are going off.
Yeah. Oh, it's because I forgot to put my phone on silent. Sorry.
It's like the universe is saying, yep.
It's possible.
I know, it was almost like confirming the
Yeah.
subliminal stuff with that crackling and things.
Yeah.
Sue said, "Who is that?" Laugh out loud. Yeah.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
is.
Oh,
It's
so interesting.
it is. It's full on, and all of that energetically. I mean, I know how much time I can sit behind this computer is only a couple of hours now, and I feel absolutely drained of all life force. It's like, oh my God, I have to go
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
So when you think about, when I do anyway, when I think about, my mind goes off in all directions all the time, as you know, Bev. But it's like I get these go round and round, so I have a look at everything, I question it all. And when that subliminal stuff started happening, and I was thinking how much energy is being taken from us, siphoned from us through all this AI, all the technology, all the frequencies that they're bombarding us with. It's any wonder, with our own ascension descension process going on, that we are so exhausted, and we haven't got the energy to fight. I think that's really what is being sort of brought about, is that they're trying to just hold us down, so we haven't got the energy to actually put our arm up and say no more, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been tough, and that there, when you're tired, your thoughts they can get very low, they can get very negative, they take you down the rabbit hole, and they take you into a depressive state. It's like all of that is the energy we've been in over these last, forever. It's been there all our lifetime, but it's really impacting now. And that's why I'm saying it's really important to pay attention to your thoughts and to where they're coming from. Are they your thoughts, actually? Is it your thought? Is that actually the way you feel about things?
Yeah, that's an important question.
Checking out the feeling.
Very important question, that one.
Yeah, I agree. And the thought that our thoughts that we project onto others, it's like reeling those back in as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Guinevere says, I remember that thought. Gosh, I remember that mind thought trying to come in. I had patients in ED that said we weren't got to have that jab. But for some reason we ended up doing it.
Yeah.
We weren't going to have that jab yet, but for some reason,
We ended up doing
it. But for some reason, like I've heard that said
so many times.
Me too. For some reason, I just got it.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know why I did it. I just did. I've heard so many people say that to me.
Yeah.
You know
I wasn't going to.
Yeah. What I've noticed here, they've got there's only one ad on television about go get the jab. It's not on as much as it used to be, that's for sure. But it's all Aboriginals, and I'm doing it for my mob. I'm like, whoa, let's kill everybody off.
Yeah.
I was like, this is just not right, you guys.
No, it's definitely not. But
have you girls experienced, I'm interested in knowing, because it's happening in my life and I want to know if it's happening in yours. Have you had conversations with people who were very not on the fence? They were very pro. They were like, yep, I'm going out to get it and I'm doing it for the good of everyone, who are now questioning?
Oh yes, heaps. Oh, there's a huge awakening, like there is. You might not know and see it, but it is actually really, it's big.
Yeah.
It's big.
Oh, yeah, they've gone, so we had to wear masks. When we walked in, sat down, you could take them off. It's like they're really putting together the rubbish that was told to them. And saying it wasn't safe and effective because, hello, I've got COVID. I've had 4 shots. I've got COVID. Why would you not question? You'd have to be really fast asleep not to question that.
Yeah. So just in this moment, people I know are isolating at home. One has been diagnosed as a positive test for COVID, who's feeling wonderful today, but still testing positive. And so therefore, the others in the house are staying in the house and isolating, but the 2 that have been vaccinated are going back to work, going off to work. They don't have to isolate because they've had that yet. I mean, do we need to go any further? But yeah,
No.
unreal, eh? I was like,
Unreal.
what?
Yeah.
Like actual? But yeah, anyway. So, more and more people definitely are waking up to what's really been going on. And that's why it's important. I know for a lot of people who are feeling very lost, who don't really understand or know the full story, it's look for the bigger picture. Look at the bigger picture. Find a bigger picture for yourself. Because unless we have something that, and it may not be the same big picture I might have, might not be the same as everyone else, around them too. It might be something quite different. But if you've got a bigger picture, if you've got something that you can make your will to survive this and your will to create a new world for you and your family, that's what we need to have. We need to start looking further ahead now, because everyone's been so stuck in this now time, which is good. Where it's learning about living in the now. But if you're not in the now and you're not being positive in the now, you're going to just, your whole trajectory is going into that stuff that's been creating this whole world last 3 years stuff. And if you're positive about it and you've got a positive, bigger picture that you're heading for and your family, you can see is going to thrive in, then go for that. Go for gold, and don't take your eyes off that goal and that bigger picture, because it's going to come into play, and everything else will move away from that is not that. So it's really, really important to start looking ahead of self right now and co-create into a better world.
Yeah, it's important to figure out what it is that you want to create, like how you want to show up in the world, how you want to affect the people around you, what you want for yourself and your family and for everybody else. I think we've come out of this terrible thing that's happened to everybody, and now it's time to go, okay, we need to stick together and we need to move in a direction that we choose
and create a dream.
Yes.
If anybody gets the chance to listen to, it was an interview with Yvonne Goolagong-Cawley, who won Wimbledon. I watched that the other night, and she had a dream of being on centre court at Wimbledon from the age of 4.
Wow.
From the age of 4, she watched a movie and she knew then that was her dream.
Yeah.
And it's like, and she brought it into fruition, and listening to her speak was a balm for my soul. It was so beautiful. And to know that just hold your dream, and it will come into being.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I know just how much my life's changed by doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Knowing what it was that I wanted in here when I was a young kid and teenager. I knew, and it was freedom, love and peace. That was all, which is huge in a world like this. But, I have that in me, in here. And I remember Nelson Mandela sitting in his prison, saying that there might be these walls around me, but I still feel free. And he said, they can't take my soul.
No.
So, I think it's just, like I was saying, really important to stay focused on what you really want in here, not what's happening so much, but what you really want to see happen.
Yeah.
And Guinevere said a lot are justifying their reasons, so obviously feeling guilty within themselves as somewhere they know it not right.
Yeah. Thanks, Guinevere. Yes.
In the big picture, she says there are a lot of groups around the world starting up new wellness centers, not relying on current systems to change, creating from our heart. Exactly that. Exactly. And it's an amazing thing. I love seeing what's happening now. It's exciting. And there's a lot of people that aren't looking at that, either, not seeing it anywhere. It's like, start creating more of that flow on Facebook and things of those new things happening rather than all this old story that keeps getting passed around.
Yep.
But yeah. Well, ladies, that went really quick.
It did.
It went really, really fast. So, like I was saying, I felt like I was in a bit of a dream. Well, here we are. We're coming out the other side now. It's like fast. So thank you again. And just, I don't know, keep doing what we're doing, I think, and just, moving ourselves through whatever it is that's holding us back, holding us down, disempowering us. Just, keep looking, keep searching, keep connecting to self on a deep level, and just find out more about yourself and the way you work mentally, emotionally, all those things, and get a handle on it if you haven't, and find people that can help you to do that if you need to.
Yeah,
which
100%.
is all of us ladies here. So thank you so much, ladies, for another awesome hour chat. And thank you to all the viewers and everybody who's put comments in there and brought yourselves into the conversation. We really appreciate you all. And we will always put the edited version of this up, so you haven't got all the tech stuff in the beginning of it, which you could pass around to others once it's up if you'd like to. And just keep us out there. That'd be really great. So lots and lots of love to everyone, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks.
See you, ladies.
See ya.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.